Your Steve Jones Show podcast is loading now. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Sunbury Motors, North 4th Street in Sunbury, and Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf.
This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now, from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is the Steve Jones Show on a Thursday, NFL season opening Thursday. Matt Catrillo here with you.
Featuring Matt Catrillo.
Yeah.
Featuring.
No, that'll be Sunday. That'll be Sunday for
Eagles
Patriots.
What gets me is that, I now have to say featuring. You become such a, you're running the show.
Oh, my almighty!
No? Not it?
No, senor! No, senor! No, senor!
It's like Friday night with Shikellamy football. I'm Kevin Earl, along with the Chief, as we welcome you.
S-U-I-T, that spells Suta!
I listened last week. Chief said 204 words. It's not a lot in 2 hours.
You kept count.
It was easy.
Oh, there it is.
Oh. Okay.
Well, Chief will get his words in today. We'll hear from him in a little bit.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it. Bounce back time for Shikellamy. Peter King at 2:45 today, roundtable 2:06. Time now to open the door to the House of Horrors, and that is the thoughts of Matt Catrillo's mind.
That's right. And it's also the thoughts of Jonathan Gannon's mind, apparently, because I never try to figure out what's inside that man's head. After the bizarre speech he gave at the start of the season to his team, he was then asked by a reporter, this was a couple of days ago, so I forgot about this, so I probably should have done this yesterday, but he was asked about the Super Bowl and was he at fault and all the criticism, that kind of stuff, and he said, sarcastically, yeah, I'm the reason why we lost the Super Bowl. Well, thank you for the honest answer, Jonathan Gannon, because whether you think so or not, you were. Because you had a defense that was ill-prepared and ran the same stinking plays in the second half that made your team look embarrassing on the biggest stage. So, yeah, whether you want to actually acknowledge it or sarcastically acknowledge it, yeah, you played a big role in why the Eagles lost a football game. Yeah, absolutely. So, enjoy that, and I'll come hunger for you, or whatever that bizarre thing you said. I want guys that want to fight or whatever. And enjoy yourself with Josh Dobbs week 1 and losing 50-0 and winning 2 games this year. See how you like that. Then we'll ask then if it's your fault.
So he was the one that dropped the ball that Kansas City ran back for a touchdown?
He was a big part. Yeah, I'd say he was the part. He was a big part of it.
He's the one that stripped the ball? Oh, that's right. It wasn't stripped. It was just plain dropped.
That's correct. That was another big part. But he at least bounced back and threw a nice touchdown pass to give the Eagles the lead back, which then Gannon and his brilliant defensive scheme relinquished in the second half. But it wasn't the part.
Uh-huh.
It was that. It was the Eagles' pass rush not deciding not to show up on that day. It wasn't just Gannon, but it was a very big part of why they lost.
Yeah. Okay. You feel? I mean, Arizona's a mess. I mean, let's be honest, and it's not Jonathan Gannon. They're a mess.
Correct. They were a mess before he came in. Absolutely.
They're a mess at quarterback because they're not going to have Kyler Murray to start. I think Caleb Williams is already looking at the possibility of Arizona having the first overall pick. And when you're getting about $4.5 million in NIL money, you can afford to look at them and say, I'm opting out of the draft.
Yeah, his dad was on record of saying that. I think I saw that 2 days ago.
Yeah.
That'll be very, very interesting because this is the first time you're going to see the draft really factor in with NIL in terms of that decision-making. That's going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's going to come into play. There's no question about it. So, I mean, he is the head coach of a completely sinking ship. It's amazing how bad Arizona has become. And it's not as at one point they weren't trying because, you know, they traded for Hopkins. You know, they made some moves. But, something else. Crazy. Crazy. Yeah. And the opening night is tonight. The defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, who are given no credit at all for great execution by the co-host. I mean, you give them no credit.
I'm happy for Brett Veach, and I'm happy for Andy Reid.
But they didn't play well?
Yes, they played very well.
No, I'm just asking. I mean, it's like...
And Mahomes was brilliant in the second half.
Yeah. I worry about you. Yeah. So, yeah. I worry about you. You're very quick to assign fault. Are you like this in staff meetings? No.
Bingo!
Wow. Okay.
I give you my honest opinion here on this show. I give my honest opinion in staff meetings.
Wow. Okay. Is there anything else before we get into the opener tonight?
I think that about covers it for right now.
It's almost like Jonathan Gannon triggers something in you.
He kind of is in that category, I will admit.
I will repeat what I said yesterday, but it always helps for people who may not have joined us yesterday or else did not listen to the podcast. And, you know, sometimes you got to fight through a couple of your once they get through your stuff, it's like, sometimes you drag it out so long they don't get to my part.
Get the lingerie on the deck. Call the janitor.
I'm kidding you. You know that. So just to repeat, they did come up with a solution for live in the stadium. Obviously, Eagle 107 you can listen to anytime. But obviously, Eagle 107 you cannot get in the stadium. Fair?
Absolutely.
So in the stadium, they did go with the solution I proposed, and that was they will continue to do the games on 99.5 in State College. But that'll still be on a delay because it would take them 2 weeks to move the translator to a different station. So because it'll take 2 weeks, they're like, well, geez, it would be up a creek this week. So they're going to keep the games on there, but for those of you who want to listen to the game in the stadium, they're going to put it on 103.7 FM and 1450 AM here in State College. So 103.7 FM and 1450 AM, which happen to be, by the way, two of the stations that carried the games last year. All right? So I hope that helps everybody out. But they did come to that solution, and that solution will be there for the rest of the season. Okay? So 103.7 FM, 1450 AM. Okay. I laugh because people say, you said in the air you got a lot of emails. Yeah, I have zero to do with it, and I got all the emails. It's like, why don't you email somebody who's like in charge? I'm an employee. Oh, mercy me. Yeah, I'm the play-by-play guy. I'm not in charge of affiliates. But I hope that whatever I was able to do helped. Okay? Because there's a reason why. Okay? Why do we do these broadcasts? Okay? We do this broadcast. Okay, this is my opinion. I know advertisers figure in and so forth. I got that. Okay? Because you can't do it without the money. And the advertisers are great. But the reality is we're actually doing the broadcast for you. So you need to be satisfied with the product that you are getting. And in the stadium, you want to be able to put on a headset and you want to be able to listen to the game as you watch it. Well, your needs should be satisfied, and this should do it. Okay? Because guess what? I know sometimes you think maybe you're not important. To Jack and me, you're extremely important. Not a little, extremely. All right, we'll come back with more in a moment here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
You, sir, are my hero.
There's something to be said about a sale with a handshake, a service technician who really knows what he's doing. They can explain it in English what the problem is. There's nothing better than having that friend you could trust in the area. That's Sunbury Motors, where you get selection, knowledgeable salespeople, and prices that fit your budget, and more important, that friend you can trust. Welcome to Sunbury Motors, Kia, Ford, and Hyundai. You could shop other dealers and compare prices, but at Sunbury Motors, you get their lowest price promise. They research the current used vehicle market and guarantee their used car prices are the lowest. If you find a lower price, Sunbury Motors will beat it. 3 dealers all in one. See their full new and pre-owned inventory at sunburymotors.com. Pick out a vehicle you like and schedule your test drive online. Follow them on Facebook. Sunbury Motors Ford and Hyundai, North 4th Street, Sunbury, and Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf.
Can you comment at all on Abdul's situation and his status?
Yeah, as you know, we don't talk about those things publicly. Obviously, it's being handled and dealt with internally. This is new to you guys. It's not new to us, as you can imagine.
Yeah, a lot of times my reaction is, oh, that got out? Okay. Okay. I think you always handle stuff like that internally, and it's already been dealt with, so, I don't really have much more to say about it than that. I know Matt wants to, because Matt loves, he thinks there's something juicy here, but no. Sorry. I feel like I ruin your day when I say things like that.
No, I figured this is a more of a minor issues. So, yeah, I'm not surprised by any of it. I don't have a problem with any of it. It's fine.
It's just, it's already been handled. So, and, there are guys that have been, as James said yesterday, there are a couple of guys that have been out because they've been sick. It seems like a lot of people have had the, that late summer flu, or in some cases it's been COVID. So, for example, Rodney Martin, the public address announcer, could not work last week's game, right, because he tested positive. Like, okay. And he's told that, it's no secret. He told everybody, and I talked to Rodney. He says, oh, yeah, you can talk about it. I would never tell anybody that he's, what the deal was unless he said it was okay. And that's why he was out last week. Well, that's the way, that's the way it is late. For some reason, late in the summer, we see more of this. And, of course, in the COVID era, we'll see more of it, too. But, Penn State's had a couple of guys under the weather this week. That's figured in. He talked about getting Amari Evans back yesterday, and that was big. That really helps, especially the depth at wide receiver, because he couldn't play the first game because he was banged up, and he was able to get back into practice, and that was good. But we'll see how the rest of the week plays out. The rest of the week may play out in such a way where a couple of guys that were under the weather yesterday are fine to play on Friday. Okay, so we'll have to see how that plays out. But James did mention that. So you did a pair of rivalry sights and sounds and a soccer highlight package as Lewisburg and Midwest squared off in boys soccer and Bloomsburg and Southern Columbia in girls.
Correct. I did that Lewisburg Midwest game last night.
And you interviewed Midwest Athletic Director Bree Solomon.
Correct.
This will be part of your Friday night coverage.
That is right. It's always a sports beat at 6, and then following our coverage of Milton at Midwest, which I'll be back on the sideline for.
So you got Milton and Midwest this week.
Correct.
Very good. How do you like the sideline deal?
I love it. Actually, I've grown to really like it where if I'm not in the booth doing play-by-play, I would actually rather be on the sideline than doing color. Because I just like being the first to get the inside scoop of what's happening. I just like being everything right at my fingertips, being close to the action. I don't know. I really have grown to really love the sidelines the last couple of years that I've been doing it. It's fun for me.
A few years ago, obviously play-by-play work, but a few times I was assigned between the benches inside the glass for hockey. And, I love watching because you know how much I love hockey. And so I love watching the game, but I was kind of bored waiting for my next time to be up. Okay. We need you between periods. I'm all set. Okay? We need you between periods. I'm all set. We need you after the game. I'm all set. I mean, nobody got banged up in the games I did, so they didn't have to come down to me to talk about what was going on. We didn't do any in-game interviews at the time. That wasn't the era for that. So, no offense. I was kind of down there between the benches inside the glass, and I'm looking around going, all right, I'll just watch the game for a while.
That's the part that I'm okay with it, too. You get a good seat, sort of.
I like being actively involved.
You know the name.
This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now, from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Back here on the Steve Jones Show. Matt Catrillo here with you. Steve in the Sunbury Motors studio. Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. And online at sunburymotors.com. High School Roundtable 206 today. Shikellamy and Central Mountain on WKOK tomorrow night. Lewisburg and Montoursville over on 100.9 The Valley. And a big one at Harold L. Bullock Memorial Field tomorrow night as Selinsgrove hosts Jersey Shore. Another big early season test for the 2-0 Seals as they host their arch-rival Bulldogs tomorrow night. So we'll have Greg Wetzel, we'll have Zach Showers, we'll have the Chief in a little bit to break down those matchups. And then at 2:45, Peter King, NBC Sports, back with us as we get set for the Lions and the Chiefs tonight. 8:20 on NBC. Season opener as the defending champion Chiefs get it going against Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. And just looking at that game for tonight, as I said on the show yesterday, I do like the Lions. I think they're going to win the NFC North this year. I like them a lot, but I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to have their night tonight. And I say they win by 2 scores.
The best quarterback in the league, of course.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Actually, Jalen is as good as he is. So, to be honest with him, he really is. Was credit's due.
Well, they were both fun to watch in the Super Bowl last year, so.
I think the Eagles 1 through 53, I mean, that's as good a roster as you're going to find. So, now it's up to you to blow it.
Unofficially, since all the predictions are out there before the game starts tonight,
sure,
I think the Eagles pull what the Bengals did last year and they get back to the NFC title game, but I think they fall short this time because I just don't know what. I still need to see a lot of question marks answered on defense. If basically it comes down to the Georgia guys. If they're as advertised, there's no reason why the Eagles can't win and get back to and win the Super Bowl this year. They're not as advertised. They're going to be very good, but they're going to fall a little short.
Here's the issue with all of that. The 17-game season. It's just so long.
Yeah, injuries too. Are they finally? Is an injury bug going to get the Eagles finally?
You get bumped, you get bruised, you get banged up. I mean, Hurts wasn't immune to it last year. He missed 2 games. Eagles lost both games.
Yeah.
Nobody is immune to it. It's just so long. I remember when they went from 14 games in 78 to 16 games. And for some reason, it just felt, oh, yeah, okay, 2 extra games, easy, natural, the whole thing. And that's adding 2 games. Like, wow, okay, we get more football. But when they went to 17, and I know it's just 1 more game, it's just perception. Wow. You just kind of sat there and went, boy, it feels like the season's so long. I remember last year doing the Penn State Purdue basketball game at the Palestra. It was opposite the Giants and the Eagles' regular season finale. Not a playoff game, the regular season finale.
Correct.
And that was in early January. It's like, geez, that season feels just perception-wise so long. But that is, that's the NFL just trying to take the cycle. Everybody's trying to take the cycle. Everybody. And it's taking some of the traditional comfort out of it. You can't force people to we're doing it this way and you're going to watch. Okay. So we were just talking about you doing high school football on Friday night. Now, I will freely admit I am a hypocrite when it comes to this. But I strongly feel that Friday night is for high school football, Saturday is for college football, and Sunday is for the NFL. Yet, on Friday night, Illinois is going to be playing Kansas, and guess which game I'm going to be watching? I'm not going to be watching a high school game. Simple as that. So, and I do this all the time. I watch a lot of college games. I remember last year I did watch Shikellamy and Selinsgrove because it was on PCN. So I watched that game, and I watched a couple of State I games on TV. And I saw Paul DeGloria play Penns Valley on TV last year. But if there's a decent college game on, and this is a case where Illinois-Kansas, is that a decent college game? We can debate that. But for me, for example, I haven't seen Altmaier play a quarterback yet. I have not looked at any of the Toledo tape from their 30-28 opening win. So it'll be my first chance to really see Illinois because Penn State plays them next week. So I'll watch it. But they're putting college games on Friday night. Just like the NFL went to Thursday, and they ended, for all intents and purposes, ESPN's college football domination of Thursday night. And there were some memorable games on Thursday night, like that night Virginia beat Florida State with Warwick Dunn. That was a Thursday night game. It's a great game. Fun to watch. But the NFL stepped in, started putting NFL games there, and then, of course, now it's streaming with Amazon Prime. But the NFL just took the night. And over time, ESPN with college football has taken the night. And I don't blame them. They're looking for programming. And to be honest with you, when every once in a while ESPN shows a high school game on Friday night, modern day against somebody, you're like, and the whole thing is just one big recruiting pitch. And I'm like, oh, this isn't enjoyable. It's just not. I mean, I did watch when they had Drew on 2 years ago, for obvious reasons. So, yeah, how do you feel about that?
High school on ESPN?
College invading Friday.
Oh, college invading Friday. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm a high school should be for Friday, college Saturday, NFL Sunday. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. But if there is a decent college game on, I might check in. But I'm probably flipping around with watching a little bit of everything, to be honest. Like growing up is probably what I did. If I wasn't at a high school game, I'd be flipping around. Nowadays, I'm pretty much locked into following the high school coverage in some way, shape, or form. And if there's not a high school game on TV, then I'll have something else on while I'm following the high school coverage. So,
yeah, well,
I'm kind of a mixed bag at this point.
Yeah, but I'll give you an example. Thanksgiving, with the playoffs now, Thanksgiving was always a traditional game in high school football.
Yes.
Easton against Phillipsburg, New Jersey.
Correct.
Did Selinsgrove play Shikellamy on Thanksgiving? Dave would know.
Yeah, I'll have to ask the chief. I don't know. I grew up with East Stroudsburg South and Stroudsburg. Yeah.
I believe before I came here, State College played Bellefonte on Thanksgiving. This is before I arrived, so that's me. I got here in 1978. We always had a traditional high school game on Thanksgiving. We had a crosstown rival. So we had two high schools in my town. Now there's only one. I mean, they dissolved the one that should be dissolved. That's the rival. Gone. But yeah, but populations change and so forth, and that's what's happened in that town. And we would draw between, I don't know, 2,000 to 3,000 on a Saturday. Right? Wasn't bad. You know, nice crowd. You know, maybe 1,500 to 3,000, something like that. Okay. Then we get to Thanksgiving, and we had an old cinder track that went around our field. And they would put bleachers up all the way around and turn it into a bowl, and they would draw between 10 and 15,000 fans on Thanksgiving.
I really miss that about high school football.
Yeah. And the game would be at 10 a.m.
Yep.
And people could get home in time for dinner, or they could get home in time to, if they felt like, maybe dinner's later. They wanted to watch more football, watch the Detroit Lions game. They could do that. We'd be done with our games. And, of course, one year I remember playing as a junior, and it was so cold. The field was froze. It was so cold. So after we thawed out, we went home. Then the next year we had to go, so we'd cross town. We won the game, but we had to bus back, but I'd be home by 2 o'clock, 1:30, 2 o'clock. Dinner. Yeah, watch the Detroit game, watch the Dallas game. Yeah, and it was just felt natural. Like, a lot of that stuff's gone away. Now the playoffs have created some of that. The playoffs have created some of that because people wanted playoff football in the state, and they have it now. And I think that's, to be honest with you, I think the playoffs are great. So that doesn't bother me as much. But it is, it's just interesting how sometimes I wonder with entities such as a league, a TV network, where does the fan fall into place in terms of the thought process? We'll put it on, they'll watch. Is that the attitude? I get concerned about that. So let's take last week's game. Penn State plays West Virginia. And I've pointed this out many times, but it's worth pointing out again. TV wants badly to have you at the game. Because, look, if they're going to get between 3.7 and 4.4 million, which is what the meter was during the game, is between 3.7 and 4.4 million that watched at any particular time on Saturday night. Well, guess what? It doesn't bother them having 110,000 of that audience be in the stadium. Because instead of making it 3.8 to 4.5 million, it's 3.7 to 4.4. Okay. That's what they're looking for. But what enhances it is you being there. Do you think NBC sat there on Saturday night from a production standpoint and said, look at all these people. This is phenomenal. Right, let's get aerial shots. Look at that helmet stripe. Look at everybody else dressed in white. Where are the empty seats? Listen to this crowd going crazy, nuts, the ambiance, the atmosphere comes through the TV set. That's why they want crowds at the games. Yet they do everything they can, it seems at times, to keep your planning down to a minimum. That's why I've been so vocal about the 6-day windows. Been so vocal about it. The reason I've been vocal about it is because of you. I mean, it doesn't matter to me what time the game kicks off, and I don't really care when I find out. Okay? I mean, it doesn't matter to me when I find out. I just go, and I know I'm going to do it, so I'm going to be there. But you, the fan, should be planning, allowed to plan ahead. That's why the 6-day window thing makes no sense. I mean, I've said many times, I'll say it again. Degree of difficulty on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay? Manhattan Project, atomic bomb, 10. Okay? Scheduling a football game for TV, less than one. Okay. Yet they make it seem like it's brain surgery. No, it is not. I mean, you can't tell. I mean, you and I could sit here with a list of games 12 days out, and we can tell you which games are going to be good games, right? It doesn't take much. Okay. But, I feel like certain things that, like, entities try to force on you. Right? Like, over and over and over again, they try to force it on you. Like, no. No, just some thoughts. Matt's mentally already at the Midwest Milton game.
I've turned the page to get prepped for that, yeah. Off to soccer last night at Midwest. I got 2 trips out there this week.
Yeah, but you do know we have another hour and 10 minutes left on this show, right? Don't we have an audience?
Bingo!
Correct.
You're over there like prepping games. Like, what? What do you need? What? You need something? You need me to talk?
F-O-U-L-E-D, that spells found up.
You all right? Doing okay? How close are you to being prepared for that game?
I would say I pretty much have 90% of my work done because the last chunk, I'm not fully complete until I talk to the coaches beforehand.
Well, during the coaches show tonight, you can take care of the other 10%. All right, we'll come back. We'll come back with more in a moment here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Oh, my almighty!
Back in May. Great park. I'd never been there before. And terrific. And that just brings up, we were talking about college football and high school football and so forth. But there's so many entertainment options these days that people are utilizing. We just had a summer where Taylor Swift was selling out everywhere across the country. Bruce Springsteen, right? Huge shows. Boss may not have played the usual 4 hours, but went out and played about 250, 255. Metallica had a big tour this summer. And, and people have options. And you have to, you constantly have to do everything you can, whether you're a sports entity, a sports organization, or a TV network that's carrying sports, to do everything you can to accommodate the fans, because you are competing with a lot of different entities right now. Matt had to make big choices this summer between Metallica, going to a Yankees game, or the Barbie movie. And,
I think the choice was pretty easy.
Did you enjoy Barbie?
No, senor! No, senor! No, senor!
Wow, a thumbs down. Should have chosen Oppenheimer then. Or Mission Impossible 7. Oh, wait. Mission Impossible 7. That's actually the theme of the Yankee season. Okay.
Bingo!
So that knocks out two choices. But you have all these options these days. And people are going to go with what they find to be the most entertaining, and also in part what might be the most convenient for them, what they can plan around. You do get walk-ups where people at the last second do make a decision. But most people like to plan ahead. Hey, big weekend coming up. I'm going to go here, here, and here. So, one guy that is lost in the Deion Sanders rubble, and they keep talking about the great job Shakur did at quarterback, the great job that Hunter did at wide receiver. But it was one of the more underrated hires of the offseason. Sean Lewis had been the head coach at Kent State. He was not fired at Kent State. He left the job at Kent State to be the offensive coordinator at Colorado. He called himself a whale of a game on Saturday. Now, the players had to execute it, but it's amazing how he's been a little bit lost in the shuffle, but anybody that knows football knows the quality of coach he happens to be. And let's give credit where credit is due. Next half hour, our high school roundtable. Peter King in the final half hour. Matt will be a non-participant. He's getting ready for other events as the show goes on.
I'm locked and loaded.
Get yourself together. Great to have you with us today. Brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummels Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com.
You're listening to News Radio 1070 WKOK Sunbury. You can hear us anywhere in the world with the Sunbury Broadcasting Corporation app.